On the night of thunder and prophecy, 2 baby girls were born under the same sky. One in a palace surrounded by golden guards, the other in a mud hut with only the stars as witness. One was hailed as a miracle, the other forgotten before her first breath. Their paths couldn't have been more different, and yet, fate was already stitching their stories together. In the flourishing kingdom of Okund, where bronze walls gleamed under the Nigerian sun and palm wine flowed like rivers during festivals, a princess was born to great celebration. Her name was Adizwa, daughter of King Adegbite and his beloved wife, Queen Mornike. She was the jewel of the nation, the child of prophecy. Priests had foretold that the first daughter born to the royal bloodline after a long drought of female heirs would either bring unmatched glory or unimaginable ruin. The queen, terrified of what that meant, held her child tightly from the day she was born. To protect her. Or so everyone thought. Far away, across the city in a dusty compound on the edge of the slums, another baby girl was born that same night. Her mother died during childbirth. Her father never claimed her. She was raised by an old, blind herbalist who gave her the name Amarachi, God's grace. She grew up on the streets, carrying buckets of water on her head, selling firewood, learning how to survive with her fists and her silence. She had no idea her cries once echoed the same night as a princess. No idea that her destiny had been stolen before she could even walk. Adizwa, for all her gold and silk, grew up in a palace that was more cage than castle. Her mother, the queen, was cold and distant. There were no bedtime stories, no warmth. Just lessons, etiquette, expectations. The king, though kind, was mostly absent, trapped in affairs of state and diplomacy. Adizwa often stared out from the highest tower, wishing she could just be normal. Somewhere far, Amarachi would sit outside the village school she couldn't afford to attend, watching girls her age carry books while she carried burdens. She dreamed of being seen, of mattering, of being more than a shadow in a loud world. Everything changed on the king's 60th birthday. The palace was open to all for celebration, rich, poor, noble, and forgotten. Amarachi, drawn by the music and the lights, slipped into the crowd with nothing but a borrowed wrapper and a spirit too stubborn to be ignored. She never expected to reach the palace gates, let alone cross them. But fate opened a door. Inside the palace, as she stared at the tall mirrors and golden chandeliers, she saw someone who made her breath catch. A girl dressed in white and gold, with eyes just like hers. It was as if she were looking at herself, only cleaner, softer, richer. Adizwa saw her too. It was instant. A mirror of herself in a different world. The resemblance was uncanny. Whispers started. Servants froze. Some thought it was a trick. Some swore it was a bad omen. The queen's face turned pale. She had seen this face before, on a baby she once held for only a moment. In truth, Queen Mornike was not Adizwa's real mother. The prophecy had terrified her. She had just lost a daughter during birth and couldn't risk another scandal. That same night, the herbalist from the outskirts had arrived at the palace gate, seeking help for a dying woman in labor. When the woman died but the baby lived, the queen saw an opportunity. She made a deal in silence. That child, the one born of no name, no power, would be replaced with another baby, born secretly to a loyal nobleman's cousin. A child with no prophecy attached, no danger. Just obedience. Amarachi was thrown into the world without a trace, and the queen swore her court to secrecy. Now, the past had returned. Adizwa, driven by curiosity and a strange bond, proposed a switch. Just for a few days. She wanted to feel what it was like to be free. To breathe without guards and eyes and pressure. Amarachi, hesitant at first, agreed. She wanted to know what life tasted like without hunger, what it felt like to matter. They switched roles, and everything began to unravel. Amarachi, as the princess, was awkward but observant. She saw the cracks in the palace, the fear in the maid's eyes, the greed in the advisors' voices, the way the queen watched her with thinly veiled suspicion. Adizwa, as the pauper, felt freedom for the first time. Dust between her toes, laughter in the market, stories by firelight. But also the pain of poverty. The sharp sting of being unseen. She met people who hated the palace, who blamed the royal family for everything, who didn't believe in crowns, just survival. During her stay, Amarachi stumbled upon an old chest tucked away in a forgotten room. Inside was a letter, sealed and faded. It was a confession written in shaky hands. A midwife's account. The truth of the switch. She confronted the queen, who begged her to stay silent. If the kingdom finds out, she said, everything will fall apart. You will be hated, not welcomed. You have no right to the crown now. Let sleeping dogs lie. But Amarachi had already tasted truth. And once tasted, it couldn't be spat out. She went public. At a royal council gathering, she told the story. Adizwa backed her. The evidence was undeniable. The kingdom erupted in shock. The queen was stripped of her title. The king, devastated, acknowledged Amarachi as his firstborn, his true heir. But Amarachi declined the throne. I was never raised for gold or power, she said. I was raised in pain. And pain taught me purpose. Let Adizwa rule. She knows your ways. But let me serve. Let me build schools for girls like me. Let me make sure this never happens to another child. Adizwa, with tears in her eyes, took her sister's hand. Then we'll lead together. You in the streets. Me in the palace. Two sides of the same coin. And so, the kingdom of Okund changed forever. The people had two daughters now, one to wear the crown, and one to carry its weight. Sometimes, royalty is not about blood or title. Sometimes, the most powerful people are the ones who survive the world without anyone ever lifting a finger to save them. And sometimes, the greatest crown is found in knowing who you truly are.